There's something about anxiety that I feel really interesting. Sometimes we can look around and think, okay, there's nothing happening right now. And yet, you don't necessarily feel okay. I think that's a difficult thing to explain. Because I think if we can point to something that's wrong, at least we have something to understand. Right? But when we can't point to anything, it leaves us wondering whether I feel this way. And I don't want to sit here and tell everyone I have an answer for everyone, because I don't. People are different. Our anxieties, experiences are different. And anxiety can come from a lot of different places. But I think that's one possibility that we're talking about. That's what I want to explore with you today. I've been thinking about how crazy that our minds and bodies can sometimes react to something before we even understand what's happening. Have you ever had a moment like that? Maybe you suddenly feel tense like this. Maybe your thoughts start moving a little faster. Maybe you just had this uncomfortable feeling that something isn't quite right. Or maybe none of this sounds familiar to you at all. But that's okay too. I'm not here trying to put you in a category. I'm more interested in the question itself. What kind of person feel anxious when I can't identify an obvious reason for the anxieties? Because I think our first instinct is often to look for the problem. What am I worried about? What's wrong? What do we need to fix? But maybe there's another way to look at it. Maybe we can become curious before we try to fix anything. One thing I come to appreciate conversation around mental health is that there isn't simply one simple explanation. And that's important. Because it's easy to hear one explanation online and think, oh, that is what's happening to me. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. And we think we should leave room for that. There's so many things that can influence how we feel. Our circumstances, our habits, our thoughts, our relationships, our past experiences, or even something that's happening in our bodies. So instead of saying this way you answered, I would rather add a different question. Could our body respond to patterns we learned? Even now, we're not constantly thinking about the pattern, and that's something worth exploring. Think about how much we learn without constantly deciding to learn. We learn routine, we learn people expression, we learn what certain sound mean, we learn, which situation feel comfortable and which one don't. And a lot of that learning happens quietly. And that makes me wonder about anxiety. Could some reactions become familiar before we're even aware of them? And I think that's a fascinating possibility. But again, I don't want to turn that into a land exit. I'm not saying every unexplained anxiety comes from the same place. It doesn't. I'm simply saying that sometimes there's more going on under a feeling than we're able to see at that moment. And understand that can change the way we look at feeling. Here's where I think things can become difficult. When anxiety appears, our instinct is to get rid of it. I understand. Nobody particularly enjoys feeling anxious. So we think, how they make this stop? And sometimes we spend so much energy fighting the feeling that we never really stop to notice what's happening. But if, just for a moment, we don't have to solve it, what if we could simply notice it? Not agree with every anxiety thought, but not assume the feeling means something terrible is happening. Just notice. I feel something, that the thoughts happening, my body feels different. I'm not sure what it means yet, and I actually think that last part is important. I'm not sure what it means yet. Because, we don't have to always have to immediately turn a feeling into a conclusion. So, here's something simple you could try sometime. Not as a treatment, not as a magic solution, just as an experiment. The next time you notice a little anxiety and you're unsure why, pause for a second. For a moment. And instead of asking, how do I get rid of this? Try asking, what am I noticing right now? That's it. Maybe you notice the thought. Maybe you notice tension. Maybe you notice that you're anticipating something. Maybe you notice absolutely nothing happens. And if you don't find an answer, that's okay. You don't have to. Sometimes curiosity is enough, because there's something very different about saying something feels uncomfortable and no one understands it, versus something feels uncomfortable, therefore something must be wrong. And I think look like two different conclusions. And maybe that's a bigger point I want to leave you with. Anxiety is a real experience, but the feeling itself doesn't always tell us the whole story. A feeling is information. It isn't necessarily a complete explanation. I think that's an important distinction, because if we treat every anxious feeling as a proof that something is wrong, we may become even more afraid of the feeling itself. But if we can become a little more curious about it, maybe we can create some space to observe, space to think, space to decide what actually needs our attention. And again, I'm not saying that it explains anyone's anxiety. It doesn't. I'm simply saying that it's the question we're asking for. Maybe you experienced something like it. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you're trying to figure out what your experience mean. And honestly, that's okay. I don't think we have to have everything figured out before we start asking a better question. Sometimes the first step is in finding the perfect answer. Sometimes it's simply becoming a little less afraid of asking a question. And that's what I want this channel to be about. Not pretending that we are on the answer, but having honest conversation about things that can be difficult to understand. And there's another question that follows naturally from this. If we can sometimes feel anxious without knowing exactly why, what happened? When we start becoming afraid of the anxiety itself. That can create a very interesting cycle. And I will explore that in the next video. So, if this conversation gives you something to think about, come back for that one. We'll keep figuring that stuff out together. And if you find yourself thinking about it differently today, I'd love for you to stay with us. You can subscribe to Karma Collective and we can have it in the conversation together. And if you found it interesting, a like would help me to know that this is the kind of conversation that you want more.